I was able to transform myself completely from being an overweight loser who was depressed, who didn't see the point in living anymore, to someone who is now living life to the fullest, someone that's able to help others accomplish their goals, to completely change other people's lives around for a living. And all of that because I held myself accountable. You have to set a goal, you have to figure out the steps that will lead you to that goal, and then you have to hold yourself accountable so that you can follow through on these steps each and every day until you finally get to that goal. This will imprint in your head. You will never live a day where you don't execute on those steps. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I just finished my Sunday morning workout. It is 8 a.m. right now. I got to the gym at 6:30. I got up at 4:45 like I do every single day. And this is by far the hardest workout that I do throughout the whole week, the one that I do on Sunday morning. I come here, I do my striking training on the boxing sacks they have at the gym, do some kickboxing, and then afterwards I do a circuit training, which really messes me up. I'm dead after this workout, but because I still come here, I still get up early, I still do the stuff, I feel so grateful, I feel so rewarded when I'm done with the workout. Trust me, on that last exercise on my circuit, the last couple of inches, the last couple of yards are the hardest stuff that I do in the full week. That's the hardest, like half a minute of the whole week that I have to go through at the end of the circuit. But once I get done with that, I just feel so rewarded. And that's enough of that, because today I'm going to talk about accountability, what it takes to hold yourself accountable, and also why accountability is so important. Because without accountability, you won't be able to achieve anything in your life. You have to either hold yourself accountable or have an outside source hold you accountable so that you can accomplish your goals. You can have the best meal plans in the world. You can have the best workout programs in the world. But if you're not consistent, if you don't hold yourself accountable, or if you don't have someone else holding you accountable, you will not be able to follow through on those programs. And I know that because I have been there. Every time in my life that I set a goal for myself and I didn't hold myself accountable, I didn't do what I needed to do, or when I didn't have someone else holding me accountable, I didn't achieve the goal. But whenever I set a goal and then I held myself accountable, or I had an outside source holding me accountable, it worked. And there are so many different ways that you can hold yourself accountable. So let's get into the different options that you have in order to stay consistent and accomplish your goals, because that is what we want at the end of the day, right? We all want to accomplish the goal that is in our head, that our heart and our soul desires. But as I said, the only way to get there is to stay consistent, to do the work day in and day out without giving up. You have to do the small tasks right. In order to be able to do that, you need the accountability. So the full setup would be as follows. First, obviously, you have to come up with a goal, because without a goal, you can't execute any other steps and you're just floating around mindlessly. So you have to set a goal, number one. Then you have to make a plan in order to reach that goal. You have to figure out the steps that you have to execute on every single day in order to get there. When it's, let's say you're trying to lose weight, for example, what would be the steps to get there? Think about it yourself, but I'm also going to tell you. You have to get into a calorie deficit. That's number one. So you first have to calculate your maintenance calories, subtract about 500 from that, get into a calorie deficit. That's the first thing you have to do. Then you have to come up with meal plans, step number two. And then you have to follow these meal plans for a long period of time until you get to the desired weight. So that's 4 steps, right? Calculate your calories, come up with meal plans, follow the meal plans, and follow them for a long enough time so that you get to your goal wait. But the problem with a lot of people now is that they come up with the plan, right? They come up with the perfect plan. They have all the meal plans, they have all the foods laid out for them, they know exactly what to do in order to get there, but they never do it, or they do it for a week or a day, and then they don't see immediate results, and then they quit. Then they just give up and think to themselves, well, if it didn't work after a day or a week or 2 weeks, it might just not be the right thing for me to do. Well, that is wrong, and that's why most people fail. They give up way too early. You have to keep going even when you don't see immediate results. That's what it's all about. You can't expect results after putting in the work for 1 day or half a day, or after just making the perfect plan. Like, nothing's gonna happen from that. You have to execute on the plan, and in order to do that, you have to, now we're coming to the important part, you have to hold yourself accountable. Let's talk about self-accountability first. What does it take to hold yourself accountable? Well, there's a lot of different options that you have when it comes to that. One thing that I really like to do is to constantly remind myself of the steps that I have to take, and also of the goal that I have to accomplish, the goal that I have in my mind. So with the steps, what I like to do is just write them out, either on my notes app in the phone or on those little like pieces of paper, and I will put those pieces of paper somewhere in my room where I see them every day. So next to the mirror, right? I would just put these post-its with the steps that I have to do. So when I get up in the morning, go to the bathroom to brush my teeth, I see exactly what I need to do. It reminds me every single day in the morning of the steps that I have to execute on every single day. And you can do the same thing with goals. You could, for example, put a picture, or let's say you were in shape 5 years ago. You were in good shape. Put a picture of yourself next to the mirror in the bathroom, and then every time you walk into your bathroom, you see that picture of yourself, and you're like, wow, I need to get there. And then right below that picture, you have all the steps laid out for you in order to get there. So the steps could be as simple as get your first meal in the morning, do your cardio in the morning, get your workout in the evening, get your last meal in at the end of the day, don't cheat on your diet. Like, that's just 5 simple steps, and if you have them laid out for you and you see them every day next to the dream state that you want to be in, I promise you guys, this will imprint in your head. You will never live a day where you don't execute on those steps, because you are constantly reminded of what you have to do and also of where you want to go. And if you have those two combined, the goal and the steps, that's the formula for success, right? These two combined. So that's one thing that you can do. Just have them next to your mirror. Same thing goes at your desk. You can have, I have, like, for example, in my room, at the wall that is like right behind my working desk, I have like a whole bunch of pictures printed out that show me my goals, that show me the stuff that I have to do in order to stay consistent every single day. And this is what helps me with self-accountability, because I'm constantly working at my desk, working on client programs, working on my social media, working on videos, working on just growing my business, working on becoming a better man. And whenever I see those pictures right behind my computer screen, right behind my books, I'm constantly reminded that I need to keep putting in the work, and it becomes so easy for me because I know that I have to do it in order to get there. So that's one thing that you can do to hold yourself accountable. Then another thing, this only goes if you're really good at it. So for beginners, if you're really struggling with self-accountability, if you're really struggling to execute on the steps that lead you to the goal, I wouldn't recommend this step, but this works for people that are already more advanced, that really have like a clear picture of where they want to go, and that have already gotten started. So another thing that you can do is constantly in your head, and I'm serious about this, constantly in your head, visualize where you want to be in your life. visualize that goal that you have set for yourself, and then run it through your head at least 3 to 4 times a day. And at least one of those times you should be without any distractions. This can be before you go to bed, this can be right after your workout, this can be right after a shower. No distractions, just close your eyes. It's almost like meditation, right? And then visualize yourself accomplishing that goal that you have in mind. And if you can truly picture yourself accomplishing that goal, if you can really see that in your mind, you're going to be able to constantly do the stuff that you have to do in order to get there. But you have to do this every single day. If a day goes by where you don't remind yourself of the end goal that you want to be at, you're not going to be able to keep this up consistently. So just close your eyes, think about where you want to be, what you want to accomplish, and this has to be a precise goal. This can't just be something vague. You really have to picture yourself in that exact moment doing whatever you set out for yourself. So for me, for example, one of my biggest goals in life, and this is a materialistic goal, but one of the biggest goals in my life is to make enough money from my online coaching business, where I help other people accomplish their goals, to make enough money to buy a Porsche 911 for my parents. And they live in Germany right now. I'm from Germany, right? When I get back to Germany, I will buy that car for my parents, and I will drive it all the way back from the dealership to my parents' house wearing a nice suit, and I'm going to surprise my parents with that. That is one of the goals that I constantly remind myself of, because I want this so bad. My parents have given so much to me, and I want to be the one giving back to them. With that in my mind, it is so easy for me to constantly execute on the steps that I have to do in order to get there, to constantly learn about business, to constantly make good content, to constantly improve my coaching services so that people get better results from my coaching and therefore refer my coaching to other people, right? It makes it so easy for me because I can literally see myself sitting in that car, driving it back to my parents' place, and the joy in their eyes and hearts when I gift it to them. So if you're advanced, you can use this technique, and it will help you so much to constantly stay consistent and to hold yourself accountable. But with accountability, there's also outside accountability. And going back to my coaching business, you can get yourself a coach. If you want to get in shape, you can get yourself a coach that's going to hold you accountable. He's going to keep track of your progress. He's going to constantly look at the stuff that you're doing, and he always watches over you. He always knows if you're on track or not. And by getting a coach, first of all, you're making the financial investment into yourself, which makes it a lot harder to just not stay on track because you're already so invested into this thing. And then the next thing is, you don't want to disappoint the coach. Yes, disappointing yourself is one thing, right? I bet that a lot of you guys have done that before. You've been disappointed in yourself because you didn't follow through on a goal. But now think back to when someone else was involved, when you had a trainer in, let's say, soccer as a kid, when you had teammates, let's say, also in soccer as a kid, or in football, right? You didn't want to disappoint those people because they counted on you as well. They believed in you as well. So that just adds to the level of accountability that you're getting, right? Getting a coach, getting someone that holds you accountable, and you also making that financial investment into that coaching, which makes it even harder to disappoint the coach or to disappoint yourself because you want to get your money's worth from that, right? So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is just get your goal out there. Announce it to other people. Announce it on social media. Tell other people that you're going to accomplish this goal in, let's say, this and that time. Like I just did, right? I just told you about me being able to get that car for my parents, and I will do it. You can watch me on this YouTube do it, because in 1 year or 2 years from now, I will be driving that car on this exact YouTube channel, giving it to my parents. So get your goal out there, announce it to the world and see what happens. Because now that you're not just holding it to yourself, that you're putting it out there to other people, the pressure rises. Now in your head, you're constantly thinking, oh man, if I don't achieve this, other people are going to think I'm a loser. Other people are going to think I'm the person that says something, but then they never do it. And yes, you might be thinking this is silly and you shouldn't care about other people's opinion. And that is absolutely true. But when it comes to accountability, this is extremely powerful. I've done it in the past. I'm going to play a clip of a video of myself at the start of last year, at the start of 2024, being 260 pounds, coming off 2 injuries. And I made a video on Instagram where I publicly announced that within the next 6 months, I am going to get into the best shape of my life. From now on, I'll be recording and uploading my progress every single day, not only for you to see it, but also to hold myself accountable for my goals. At the end of the summer, I want to be unrecognizable, not only physically, but also mentally. It is time to turn my life around, and I hope to motivate some of you guys to do the same thing. And what did I do? I followed through on that goal because I announced it on social media. And I wasn't even constantly thinking about, not disappointing other people and not coming about as the person that quits on their goals. I just had it in the back of my mind, almost. It was almost like I just had that pressure, but it wasn't really like pressure. Just putting that goal out there helped me so much. And I did everything that I said in that goal, and even more than that. I was able to turn my physique into something that other people wanted to do as well. I was able to turn my transformation into something that other people wanted to accomplish themselves. I motivated millions of people out there. Like literally, some of my videos got millions of views from my transformation, and all of that just because I put my goal out there, and then I really set my mind to it and I accomplished it. And I used all of these techniques, except for the coaching part. I was coaching myself at that time. I'm already super advanced when it comes to training, when it comes to nutrition. So I was able to just apply my own coaching tactics to myself and then hold myself accountable even more with that, seeing my weight every single day, seeing the foods that I ate every single day and all that stuff. But I applied all the tactics. I had the post-its next to my mirror in the bathroom and also on my phone to show me the goal that I wanted to get to, and also to show me the steps that I needed to do in order to get to that goal. At the same time, I announced it to the people out there, to the people on social media, to have that accountability from the outside. Then I was coaching myself as well throughout the whole transformation, so I could make sure that I'm staying on track, that I'm not making any mistakes. And then I constantly reminded myself, I constantly visualized what I would look like if I followed through every single day, what I could accomplish if I followed through every single day. And by combining those 4 simple steps, I was able to transform myself completely from being an overweight loser who was depressed, who didn't see the point in living anymore, to someone who is now living life to the fullest, someone that's able to help others accomplish their goals, to completely change other people's lives around for a living. And all of that because I held myself accountable. I didn't see results after a week of training and dieting. I didn't see results after 2 weeks of training and dieting because I was so overweight, but I still kept going because I knew that I was capable of doing it, because I had done it before. And if you've never done something like that, if you've never been through a weight loss journey, or if you've never gotten into shape, it's way harder for you to picture that version of yourself in your head. But look at all the other people that have done it before you. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. This is my transformation. As I said, I was 260. At the highest, I was even 270. I was injured. I couldn't work out for months. But then something clicked in my head. I started doing the stuff that I had to do. I knew what I had to do. It's the most important part. I knew what I had to do in order to get there. And then I held myself accountable. I executed on the steps, and it all led me to being in the best shape of my life and to also becoming the best version of myself. And if you guys want to do something similar, if you guys are sick and tired of not being in shape, or if you're sick and tired of not living life to your fullest potential, you have to start doing this. You have to set a goal, you have to figure out the steps that will lead you to that goal, and then you have to hold yourself accountable so that you can follow through on these steps each and every day until you finally get to that goal. And if you're not capable of doing that, I gave you the whole blueprint right there, right? I gave you everything that you need in order to get there. And if you're not capable of doing that, get yourself some professional help. All you have to do literally is click on the first link in the bio of this YouTube video. You can schedule a consultation call with me where we will see if you qualify for my coaching, because I'm only working with people who are determined to make the change, who really want this. So if you're that person that still doesn't know how to execute on those steps, still isn't too sure of themselves, book a call with me. We will talk, we'll find out if you're a good fit, and then we might get you on the team if you are, because I can definitely help you. I've helped so many people before you, and I can do the same thing for you if you're determined enough to make the change. But with that being said, I really hope that you guys execute on those steps now, that you are able to completely change your life around, and that you're able to accomplish all the goals that you have for yourself, because you can do it. The only person that's holding you back from accomplishing what you want is yourself. It's that easy. You hear it all the time, but it is the absolute and complete truth. And that's it for this one. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM, comment on this YouTube video, and I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.